really well.
What, in your eyes, what's the key matchup tomorrow?
There's so many of them. I think that, from a Trey Burke is a key guy, obviously. I think he's the best point guard in the country. So containing him is going to be a big factor in the game. I think Michigan is an underrated transition team. They're very efficient when they get out and run. They don't run as much as some other teams. If you look at sort of their KenPom.com stats, they're not up there in pace of play, but when they run, they run. Their lanes get filled fast. They've got really speedy guys on the wings, and Burke makes it go. He gets it across half court in a dribble or two, and then really makes good decisions. And I think the key is, and it's easy to say, but it's hard to do, is can you corral him in transition, slow him down? So if you can stay in front of him and not get on the side of him where he's got an angle. Once he's got an angle, it's over. He's gonna find it. He's gonna score. And so corralling him and then limiting. That's a very good offensive rebounding team as well. Their wings offensive rebound, McGarry, Morgan, if he's healthy. So keeping him off the offensive glass, I think, is really important too. They're excellent as a half-court offensive team, but if you limit them in transition and corral Burke and slow him down a little bit, which, as I said, easier said than done. It's a great plan. It's kind of like Mike Tyson used to say, everybody's got a plan until they get hit. But he's a great college guard.
Who do you think guards him the most tomorrow? Mainly Farrell?
I would imagine he'd start out on him, but I think that Tom Crean has a number of options that he can use. They can switch, and there'll be times with the ball screens that they use when we might have to. And I think you'd feel pretty comfortable having Oladipo on him. There are times I'm sure that Will Sheehy will be on him. And you can even have situations where if you've got Watford out there, you wind up switching for a time with a bigger guy on him. There are going to be a number of situations you're going to have where you're going to have to make that call on how you guard their ball screen actions. They're very good offensively. I think one of the things that's interesting about Michigan is their big guys don't shoot a lot of free throws, and they're not perimeter shooters. So can you, if you choose, use your five-man to help? And does that cause problems if you do that? Because Burke is a good passer, a really good passer. One of the best parts of this game, of the many great parts of it, is that both teams have five guys on the floor at all times that can score. And that's not true of a lot of teams, and allows both coaches to be really creative. And that's why these two teams not only are so efficient offensively, but they both have a number of weapons, and both these teams have a number of guys that can get 20 or more on you, and that makes them really hard to guard.
Well, I'm glad you brought up the pace of play earlier. Knowing that Michigan really can fast break whenever they have the opportunity, and knowing that Indiana likes to run, can you see this game being played at a more high-octane pace that maybe Michigan plays on a regular basis? Can you see this get done?
That's a good question. Yes, you can, but when you run, there are different times when you can run. Now, you can run off of some teams are good at running off of a made field goal, but Michigan does a really good job when they get a defensive rebound of getting a quick outlet. And Burke, it's two dribbles and he's across half court. I think John Beilein calls that, getting to half court is sort of your speed game, and then once you cross half court, then it's your think game and the think area. And he does a really good job of making decisions. And the tape I've watched of Michigan at the times I've seen him, he does a really good job of using the free throw line as a stop sign. And then he's got options on wings. They're opportunistic in finding three-point shooters on the wings, and that really can stretch you. And we wind up, guys like me, wind up talking a lot about spacing, but really spacing isn't that important if you can't stretch the defense. The key is stretching the defense. You can space all you want to. If the defense doesn't go with you, it doesn't matter. And Michigan has guys you have got to get to. So you have to stop and slow the ball and corral it, but then you've got to be really smart in finding shooters, and not only getting a hand up, but you've really got to get into them and take those shots away, because they're really good catch and shoot 3-point shooters.
In that vein, how much adding a consistent three-point shot changed Hardaway as a player, as a guy who can impact the game?
It's changed it a lot because he can, he's a good driver too. His free throws are up, so you've got to get out and take away the shot. And then I think he's more comfortable. When I've watched, he looks more comfortable driving it hard right. So he's a really good right-hand driver. He can go both ways, but I think he prefers to drive it right. And that puts a lot of pressure on you, and it puts a lot of pressure on your closeouts. And then once you get put into a rotation, that's when it really tests your defense. I mean, the best defenses don't have to help as much because they contain well. And I think Indiana is a much improved. They're a good defensive team. They're much improved. And I think probably of the two teams, if you said, okay, which is the better defensive team, I would probably pick Indiana as the better defensive team. Now, Oladipo is a big part of that, but the other big part of it is Yogi Ferrell is a really good defender. I mean, he's a really good defender. Stays in front of the ball, and he does a really good job of reassuming pressure. He's kind of like a defensive back. Like he can move backward, and then he can also reassume it, which not all guards do. And then Zeller is about as good a help defender for a big guy as you're ever going to find. He's very alert. He switches. And he's very, very good at being in the right spot. I think sometimes we judge big guys as defenders by, do they block a lot of shots? But he gets a lot of steals for a big guy. He gets deflections. I think if you charted, and I know Indiana does. Both these teams chart everything. But Oladipo's far and away the best at getting deflections. But I would guess that Zeller's second. I would say he's right there. I mean, he's not right with Oladipo, but he's second on the team, I would guess. At least from what I've seen.
What's it been like for you guys to get back here? I think it's been 5 years since Game Day has been here. Obviously, there was a downward turn after that. What's it like just to get back in here and see Assembly Hall and have a chance to do it?
It's awesome. I mean, this place is special, and it's got a unique character. And when the teams are this good, I mean, I don't think you have to spend a lot of time explaining why this game is important. People can feel why it's important. You've got two, Indiana is one of the great brands in sports, Indiana basketball, and the candy striped pants and the whole thing, the banners. It's one of the great brands in sports. And so when you're back here, when there's this level of excitement, and this is not just a great Big Ten game. Everybody wants to see this game. It's a game everybody wants to watch, and it's not just because, hey, this is the best matchup in the Big Ten, or it's 1 versus 3. It's two teams and two programs that matter. They're both going to be there at the end if they stay healthy. But this game is important for the here and now, and that's a good thing for the Big Ten. It's a really good thing for college basketball.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.